If you study and analyze carefully culture, celebrities, politicians, and businesses, what you'll find is that you have two factions of people. People that are divided along the lines of the anti-establishment and the establishment. Now, the anti-establishment is all about change, and the establishment is all about preserving things and keeping things the same. Now, the characteristics of being a liberal go on the anti-establishment side of things, the leftist side of things.
If Kamala Harris gets in, she would be the most radical far-left extremist ever to occupy the White House times 10. There's never been a lunatic like this in the White House.
And the characteristics of being a conservative go on the pro-establishment side of things, the right side of things. It's important to understand that the establishment and the anti-establishment are both housed within the system. I've noticed that a lot of people tend to use the term the establishment and the term the system interchangeably. But this is incorrect because the establishment and the anti-establishment are housed within the system. The system is a container for both the pro-establishment people and the anti-establishment people, the pro-establishment culture and the anti-establishment culture, the establishment and the anti-establishment. Alright? And because the system houses both the establishment and the anti-establishment, this provides avenues and opportunities for you to integrate with the system in a way that makes sense to you and in a way that's in accordance to your beliefs and how you view things, so that you can still integrate with the system, either the establishment or the anti-establishment, and you can still make money. You can still earn a living, you can still start a business, you can still integrate in a way to take care of your family or to start your life or to build your life the way that you dream of living it. Now, if you've lived a life where you felt cheated by the establishment, where you've felt betrayed by the establishment, where you've followed the rules, you've listened to authority figures, and things still didn't quite work out the way that they promised or the way that the establishment promised that things would work out, then it would make sense that you side with the anti-establishment worldview. And likewise, if you've lived a life where you felt things were fair, that your hard work, your sacrifice, your dedication, your devotion to your craft, to your work, to your family, to your community has paid off exactly as the establishment, exactly as the authorities promised, then it would make sense for you to align with the pro-establishment worldview. This is important to understand because I've noticed that there's a lot of people that should be aligning with the anti-establishment, in my view, that tend to align themselves with the establishment, the same governance, the same governments, the same politicians, the same lawmakers that are responsible for actually hurting these people. And what I've seen is that because these people still tend to side with the establishment, with the rules of the establishment, rather than seeking change or trying to change the status quo so that they won't be harmed by the establishment and the way that the establishment works, these people end up developing severe cognitive dissonances. So I was scrolling through Instagram recently and saw a clip of a celebrity quoting Montesquieu, which went something along the lines of, "The interests of the master are diametrically opposed to the interests of the slave." Now, in this particular system, when it comes to the establishment and the anti-establishment, it would go along the lines of something like this. The interests of the master are diametrically opposed to the interests of the slave. And what that basically means is that what's good for the master is not necessarily good for the slave. Is because the master and the slave live in different conditions. They have different qualities of life. And what ended up happening was there were a lot of slaves back then that used to fight for slavery and to actually defend slavery, to actually defend the establishment, to defend the status quo. What ended up happening was that these slaves were living in severe levels of cognitive dissonances that caused them to act in ways that what we would nowadays regard as dishonorable behavior. Very, very bad behavior. And what happened was you had a whole bunch of people that were living with a severe cognitive dissonance of protecting and defending the same establishment that was actually hurting them. And this is a severe problem. So, when I bring up these characteristics of the left and the right, the characteristics of the anti-establishment and the establishment, again, which is all housed within the same system, it's important for us to understand that the system, again, allows us to make money whether we're on the side of the anti-establishment or whether we're on the side of the establishment. Now remember, if you align more with the anti-establishment, the chaos pillar, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a bad person. It just means that you seek change because you don't feel that you were served well enough by the establishment. And likewise, if you align with the establishment, with the order pillar, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a good person, because people that represent the order side of things can be corrupt or they can abuse their power, as we all know. The reason why I bring this up is because it's important for us to understand the distinction between the establishment and the anti-establishment that's housed within the system, and that just because you side with the anti-establishment or just because you side with the establishment, the chaos way of things and the order way of things, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a good or a bad person. Remember that you can side with the anti-establishment or the establishment and that it's perfectly okay. The system allows for you to side with the anti-establishment and it allows for you to side with the establishment. It provides avenues for funding, it provides avenues to make money, it provides avenues to build businesses, and it provides avenues to live a life in a community that's best for you, your worldview, and your family. Now, the more appropriately that we can position ourselves in either the establishment side of things or the anti-establishment side of things, the easier it'll be for us to build businesses, to make money, to integrate with society, to integrate with our communities, and to start our lives and take care of our families. And if we don't understand how to position ourselves appropriately within the system of the establishment and the anti-establishment, it can feel like we're swimming against the current. And what happens is you have a group of people that end up defending and protecting the establishment when they should be defending and protecting the anti-establishment. A perfect example of this is when you have poor people that defend the questionable behavior of billionaires. And just a quick recap, the anti-establishment has businesses and revenue streams that align with characteristics on the left, and the establishment has businesses and revenue streams that align with characteristics on the right. So choose wisely. I've been teaching you about this knowledge over the last 4 videos, and what I'm doing now is creating a left and a right account, an account that supports the anti-establishment and another account that supports the establishment. And if you want to follow along and check out the progress of these accounts, I'll leave them in the description below. I haven't created any content for them as yet. These are newly made accounts that I made last night, but I think it's going to be interesting for us to track these accounts, the account for the anti-establishment and the account for the establishment, just to see how they progress and see how they grow. And what I'll be doing in them is purely sticking to the characteristics of the anti-establishment and the characteristics of the establishment. So I think it'll be an interesting experiment, and also it'll be an interesting proof to see if this knowledge actually works or not. So if you want to follow along, like I said, the accounts are in the description below, and I've already scheduled a whole bunch of videos to create for the anti-establishment and to create in support of the establishment. Alright, and once again, thank you for watching. I hope this information helped, and have a good day.